comes first. This is ABC-7 Extra.
Good evening, I'm Saul Sainz, and this is ABC-7 Extra Sunday edition. It's your voice, your vote. Early voting is underway for several runoffs. One of those is the mayoral seat, pitting the current mayor, Dee Margo, against former mayor Oscar Leisure. It's been a tumultuous term for Mayor Margo, facing several emergency situations for the city of El Paso. First was the unprecedented immigration surge, which brought hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants to our border. Then El Paso faced one of its darkest days when a lone gunman walked into the Cielo Vista Walmart and opened fire, killing 23 people, injuring dozens more. And now the borderland joins the fight against a global pandemic. COVID-19 has killed more than 900 El Pasoans and will claim more lives before the end of the year. Margo's opponent, former Mayor Leisure, says more needs to be done and is vying to take the reins of city leadership to fight the coronavirus. That virus claimed the life of his 90-year-old mother, Roberta Lisa. I did invite both to a debate. Oscar Leisure declined, and he preferred a one-on-one. Joining me to talk about the upcoming mayoral runoff is Mayor Dee Margo. The city is looking to spend $62 million less in 2021, Mayor Margo, than it did in 2020. We've been warned it would be a difficult year for cuts, given the biggest chunk of the budget goes to salaries. What specific areas would you look to trim?
Well, public safety is our primary obligation of our bond, and incidentally, let me just say I want to extend my condolences to Oscar Leisure on the loss of his mother. A lot of us are dealing with those kinds of things right now, and my heart goes out to him. We'll balance the budget as best we can. We had no tax increase this year. We reduced the 2021 budget by $16 million, and yes, I think next year is going to be a tougher year. But when we look at dollars and cents and where we are, and I go back to some of the things that we're still trying to accomplish, like the quality of life bonds and the commitment we made for the $413 million public safety bond. And again, I reiterate, public safety is approximately 62% of our budget. And that's as it should be given our charter. So we will balance all of that. We had obligations financially, but for whatever reason lately, we've been blessed that our sales tax revenues are starting to go up, and that's about 18% of our city budget, with about 45% coming from property taxes, which we know will go down. But the biggest concern I've got is that, and I am sorry that Lisa's not here to go one-on-one with me, is that, you know, when that quality of life bond election was passed in November of 13 or 12, and he took over as mayor in May of 13, right after that bond was passed, nothing was done on his watch. And the frustration I've got is he did, I think, 8 projects, nothing related to the 3 primary projects, the Multipurpose Special Events Center, the Children's Museum, or the Mexican American Cultural Center. And so everything was left to me to pick up. And what we found out is that, as I say, he did a total of 8 projects. We've done 222, but we've had to pay for them as well. So unfortunately, I think when I ask people, what do you recall about Mayor Leisure's term, and they come back and they kind of look at me funny, and they can recall the Lily Limon movable chairs, the rotating chairs actions, and how embarrassing that was. And then they remember the Texas Rangers investigation of the walking quorum and the violation of the Open Meetings Act. But that's really about it. I just think that for all intents and purposes, that the Mayor Leisure is a great car dealer, but he was just overwhelmed by being mayor and didn't know really how to do it or how to complete the task. And that's the unfortunate thing. It's been left to us to pick up the pieces, to buy police vehicles that he didn't buy, to take care of our infrastructure needs with more streets and fulfill the obligations of the voters when he didn't. And I guess the bottom line is, he didn't listen to the voters. They came out at almost 70%, wanted the quality of life bonds completed, and did nothing during his 4 years.
I have more questions, so I'll continue with my questions. You and Mr. Leisure both have we showed successes during your tenure when it comes to job creation. Can you give me specifics on how you will go about addressing the economic challenges the city will face over the next 4 years?
We've added more jobs and more capital investment since I've been mayor than he did, almost double. If there's anything I have been doing for the last 20, almost 30 years, it's been recruiting jobs and industry and investment to El Paso. I did it when I was working with the volunteering with the El Paso Chamber when we were the primary source for job recruitment. I did it when I was one of the founders of the Regional Economic Development Corporation, which is now morphed into the Borderplex Alliance. We aligned our economic development division of our city over in the same office space, office building as the Borderplex Alliance, so they could work hand in hand more closely in recruiting industry. That's why I went after Amazon. I mean, people said, there's no way you're not going to get the Amazon headquarters. Well, maybe not, but we knew we needed to, our biggest challenge here is explaining to people who we are, where we are, and what we're all about. Where, you know, as the largest U.S. city on the Mexican border in a region of 2.7 million people, it's ludicrous that more don't know about us, and it's been my job since day one to make sure people understand who we are and where we are, and the talents and the benefits of doing business in our region. So we did Amazon. We brought in TJX. TJX is TJ Maxx and Marshalls and Home Goods.
Right.
And that's going to be a 2 million square foot office warehouse distribution operation, $150 million of investment, 950 jobs, and $30 million in payroll.
Right.
That's the kind of things we need for this city.
There appears to be, from some members of council, a lack of trust on the city manager and city attorney. Some have even voted against going into executive session to receive legal advice and voted against acting on that legal advice. If reelected, how will you address that gap between the city administration and some on the council?
Well, the numbers or the people you're referencing on the council are the minority, and quite candidly, they've been outvoted virtually every time. So I don't think they're reflective of the community or the balance of the council, and we'll deal with that accordingly. It's unfortunate that in certain cases when there's not a level of maturity that you would hope from an adult behavior standpoint, things get personal, and that's been unfortunate. I noticed that Mayor Leeser keeps talking about the city manager. Well, I think our city manager has prepared us pretty well for some of the things we're going through, and frankly, he hired him. So what does that say about his ability to hire the right people if he's turning his back on them?
I'll have him answer that question. Let's talk about the downtown arena. The $180 million in the budget is nowhere close to what will be needed. Will you build it even if it costs $250 million given the financial situation now?
Well, given the financial situation, we've said from day one that we can't do any more than we've done with the bonds at this juncture. What we need to be able to do is just like AT&T Center, the AT&T Cowboy Stadium, et cetera, is get private sector, public-private involvement with naming rights and sponsorships and those kinds of things, which I think we can do. And we can be very attractive on the border for that. But no, very few of the items in the 2012 Quality of Life bond election have come in on the budget expected. They also, I must add, unfortunately, did not include the maintenance and operation, meaning what is it going to cost to run these projects once we get them built? When we did the $413 million public safety bond last year for a new East Side Regional Command Center, for a West Side Fire EMS, for police headquarters, fire headquarters, improvements in their training areas, we included in the total cost of those bonds, not just the construction, but the operational cost for each of those facilities. So what we voted on and what we're paying for is going to be fully covered. Unfortunately, that was not the case in the quality of life bonds, but still, there was a mandate by the voters at over 70% to fulfill the obligations there. And unfortunately, Mayor Leeser did not listen to the voters at all and basically did nothing for 4 years.
Let's talk about the fire and police pension funds. The state controller shows the funded ratio for the pensions is 78%. The comptroller also shows El Paso's unfunded liability for both funds combined is $400 million. Again, that's unfunded liability. With more firefighters and police officers nearing retirement age, what is your plan to address this?
It's been an ongoing thing before I even became mayor. We passed some bonds a few years ago that people voted on, that the citizens voted on, to add more dollars to our pension plan. We're actually funded at about 80+% now with the changes in the market recently tables and where we are from an investment standpoint. We're way ahead of Houston and Fort Worth and Dallas, and we're considered one of the better funded cities in the state of Texas. But we will have to deal with it as we go forward, and I believe we will be in a position to do that financially without burdening our taxpayers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're watching ABC-7 Extra Sunday Edition. When we come back, we'll be joined by former Mayor Oscar Leeser. You're watching ABC-7 Extra, where news comes first.
Planning your Social Security retirement is something we all think about. It is important you are well informed on all of your options. Your Medicare coverage is imperative for your health. Let Ramos Health Plans guide you through it all. We have licensed agents ready to assist you. Are you new to Medicare, or do you have questions about your coverage? We can do enrollments electronically or over the phone. When you have Medicare, you have options. Let one of our virtual agents help you with your enrollment today. Don't let social distancing stop you from your benefits. Call Ramos Health Plans at 626-6137.
Wow, a new Buick for me?
To James from James. That's just what I wanted.
Is this a new Buick?
I Secret Santed myself.
I shouldn't have. I have been very good this year.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Don't forget you this holiday season. Get an SUV from Buick.
Get $3,500 purchase allowance on this 2020 Encore GX, or pay no interest on most 2020 SUV models. See your El Paso Las Cruces Buick dealers.
Hi, this is Armando from Jewel Gallery, and 'tis the season to get engaged. Verraggio's Parisian, Venetian, Couture, Renaissance Insignia collections allows you to select the engagement ring of your dreams. From Venetian lacework and French beading to Parisian wraps and rose gold couture inlay, it's never been easier to select a unique engagement ring or wedding band that has the cutting edge with that classic foundation. The possibilities are endless when it comes to Verraggio. White gold, rose gold, yellow gold, platinum. How will you express yourself? Make it yours. Come shop the exclusive line Verraggio. Unlike any other ring, only at Jewel Gallery, the jewel of the West Side, 7134 North Mesa, 845-7740, Jewel Gallery, where it's all about the ring.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. Joining us now is Margot's opponent, former Mayor Oscar Leeser. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Leeser. You and Mr. Margot both showed success during your tenure when it comes to job creation. Can you give me specifics on how you would go about addressing the economic challenges the city will face over the next 4 years, obviously post-pandemic?
Well, it's really important. You talk about the success we've had. In 2017, the Dallas Federal Reserve came out, and they came out with a report that was an independent report that showed that in 2017, the unemployment rate was 3.4, the lowest it's been in 27 years. They've been taking records of it, and they said they gave credit for the 18,000 jobs that our administration had gotten over the last 3 years. So it's really important. So the things we did those 4 years we were in office, which was going out and bringing companies to El Paso, and sometimes having to take El Paso to them, is going to be really important. But, you know, Saul, you talk about right now, there's so many small businesses that really have either gone out of business or shut their doors. And that is our #1 thing that we got to take care of. I don't believe we did the right thing with the care package, and we're looking at a second round of care package, and we need to make sure that we use it the right way. The intention was for, you know, frontline responders, the medical responders, and then to go out there and make sure that our small businesses continue to stay open. So I will make sure that we deal and meet with every small business out there to make sure they can stay open and continue to operate in a safe manner.
The city is looking to spend $62 million less in 2021 than it did in 2020. We've been warned it will be difficult. It will be a difficult year for cuts. Given that the biggest chunk of the budget goes to salaries, what specific areas would you look to trim?
You know, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay. The city is looking to spend $62 million less in 2021 than it did in 2020. We've been warned it will be a difficult year for cuts. Given that the biggest chunk of the budget goes to salaries, what specific areas would you look to trim?
Well, you know, that's a great question, because my whole time I've been running for office, I've talked about a zero budget. And what's a zero budget? A zero budget is that instead of continuing to add to the budget, right now the budget is over $1 billion and the total debt to the city is over $2 billion. So what I proposed and we're going to do is we're going to meet very early and we're going to take every department and we're going to look at from zero. We're not going to add on to it, but really it'll make us more efficient and actually give those departments through the whole city enough that we can go over and see what needs for them to operate and where we can cut to become more efficient, and we will save millions and millions of dollars. So that's a great question because I've been proposing this since day one.
All right, let's talk about the downtown arena. Do you want to build it, and what is your vision for it?
Well, in 2012, the citizens of El Paso overwhelmingly voted for a performing arts center, and we need to come up with a performing arts center. And I've proposed that we get a jewel of our city, which is the Abraham Chavez Theater, and we build it there. We put it there. We redo the Abraham Chavez Theater. We redo the convention center because it's not a convention center that's really very friendly to conventions, and we need to make sure that we make it friendly to conventions. And like I said, we told the voters that we would build them a performing arts center, and we need to do that. And what better place than to really redo a jewel of our community, which is the Abraham Chavez Theater.
Okay, let's move on to a difference that you already admit that you have with Margo and the way that you handle debt. As we've reported, the proposed budget for the 2012 Quality of Life bond projects was all off. When you were mayor, you said the added cost to complete them should not come from certificates of obligation, but instead should come from the city's annual budget, the general fund. Do you still feel that way? Where would you get the tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars from the general fund to finish the projects and pay for maintenance and operations?
Well, it's really important that in 2012, we went out to the voters and said, we want you to vote over $450 million, almost $500 million of quality of life bonds, and we need to stay within the guidelines that we told our citizens we would do, and that's what we propose to do. We also told them that if you vote on it, we will not by any circumstances give certificates of obligations. And our administration did not do that. The current administration decided that they would do certificates of obligations to build more than we promised the taxpayers. So we need to stay within the guidelines of what we told the taxpayers. We said we wanted $450 million, almost $500 million, and we need to build it and stay within our guidelines.
This is your flyer right here. Your flyer says you're in favor of reporting COVID clusters. The city attorney has said the law does not support that position, and there could be a legal risk for not just the city, but personal liability for members of council. When will you go against a recommendation from the city attorney? Or would you go against a recommendation from the city?
Well, it was a 4-4 tie. When it was brought up for a vote, it was a 4-4 tie, and it was up to the mayor to let the citizens know whether they would be safe. And the mayor voted against it. I would support to make sure that our citizens are safe. If you look at the law does state that you cannot disclose names because of the HIPAA law. And there's reasons why they would do that. But you can talk about the areas and where it is. And you know what? I can tell you that we keep talking about where it is. And if you look at the CDC guidelines, the CDC guideline says that, you know, small gatherings, family gatherings and weddings, it's really where a lot of the problems have become. And the mayor thought it was the greatest idea in the world to give out 37 waivers to allow people to have private weddings, private gatherings. And you know what? That's when we started with the spike. That's when we started losing lives. So you know what? I am in favor of making sure that we report it and we report it properly.
Let's talk about the fire and police pension funds. The state comptroller shows the funded ratio for the pensions is 78%. The comptroller also shows El Paso's unfunded liability for both funds combined is $400 million. Again, that's unfunded liability. With more firefighters and police officers nearing retirement age, what is your plan to address this?
You know, we addressed it very well, and we had a program, it's called the Forward Drop. And the Forward Drop is where there are officers that are looking to retire, they stay within the system, and we continue to build into the fund. And I can tell you that Mr. Grossman, that's in charge of the fund, did a great job and brought it to council, and we worked really close with him for the Forward Drop. And we will continue to do that and make sure that we fund it and it's funded properly. But he really proposed a great program to make sure that not only the current men and women of our police and fire department were properly taken care of, but that at the end of the day they could retire and come back and work in their same position and continue to get paid and make sure that we continue to fund the program.
Mr. Leisure, thank you very much. You're watching ABC-7 Extra. Still ahead, there are 2 more city representative races that went into runoff, District 2 and District 4. We'll talk to candidates when ABC-7 Extra continues. We'll be back.
Black Friday starts now at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso. But you can skip the line because these doorbuster deals last all month long. Save thousands with 0% financing for 72 months plus no payments for 5 months. Be payment-free for 5 months. 2021 Konas or 2021 Sonatas, $199 per month. That's $199 per month. And 2021 Palisades, a full-size luxury SUV, only $359 a month. Black Friday starts now at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso.
One-on-one with Susan Eisen.
As president of the Texas Jewelers Association, El Paso is #1 on the map. Let us show you why.
When it comes to expert advice, visit SusanEisen.com. For unique styles and designs in contemporary furniture, EP Furniture Guy has what you're looking for. Let us help create the comfort you desire for your home. You'll find the right piece at the right price. EP Furniture Guy, 3402 Durazno. Visit us online and like us on Facebook.
They say if you play with fire, you might get burned. But here in New Mexico, we always bring the heat. We know the real meaning of Christmas, how to spend a snow day, and the best ways to warm up. This holiday season, we're celebrating traditions old and new, and we're doing it here in New Mexico. Find your family's newest holiday tradition at newmexico.org/holidays. Don't go around hugging everybody, just drop off cookies.
Looking for a way to make a difference this holiday season? With so many in our community suffering the loss of jobs and income, deserving children need your help now more than ever. Your generous donations will help Operation Noel provide 20,000 warm winter jackets for El Paso kids who need them most. To donate, watch ABC-7 newscasts Thursday and the special mini telethon from 6:30 to 7 p.m. or go to operationnoel.org.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. Joining us is District 2 incumbent Alexandra Anello, who was first elected to office in 2017. Joining us as well is her runoff opponent, Judy Gutierrez. Gutierrez garnered more votes than Anello during the November 3rd election. Ladies, welcome. I'll begin with you, Ms. Anello. As you well know, sadly, more than 900 lives have been lost to this pandemic. Is the city headed in the right direction, and what would you do differently if reelected?
Sure, absolutely. The city is not headed in the right direction. You know, this pandemic has affected me personally. I have lost friends and family members, and so have my constituents and the people in El Paso. And it's been very unfortunate that over the last few months, we have had a split council and a mayor who has decided to split those decisions to keep information from the public, to stop harder enforcement of people in violation of the orders. And, you know, I think that we need to go back to those decisions. Those are things I fought very hard for, releasing cluster information, being as transparent about the data as we can, spending our money wisely, and helping our businesses as well as keeping our people safe. So really putting lives over money in this situation.
Ms. Gutierrez, I'll ask you the very same question. Do you believe that the city is headed in the right direction? If not, what would you do differently?
No, I don't think the city is headed in the right direction. And just a few months ago, my opponent, Ms. Anello, stated that the city was doing everything right. So I'm not sure what has changed. I can tell you we've done too little, too late. We did very little education. We did very little enforcement. And so going forward, what we need is a very united council. I have spent my entire career there bridging relationships with not only the leadership at City Hall, but with the current council. And so, yes, definitely definitely going forward, we have got to be a cohesive group. We have got to work together, and we need a strategic plan. The city council has no plan. We're flying by the seat of our pants, literally going day by day what we're going to do. And so that's what I would do differently, is that we need a phased-in plan. We need education, and we need to bring in all the entities, the city, the county, our school districts, Juarez and Las Cruces, and it's something that we have not been doing.
Ladies, thank you and good luck on Election Day.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Great. Thank you, Saul. Thank you very much.
Up next are runoff candidates for District 4, pitting incumbent Sam Morgan and opponent Joe Molinar. November 3rd, Morgan won more votes than Molinar, but because Morgan did not get more than 50% of the vote, the District 4 race went into a runoff. Joining us now is incumbent Sam Morgan and, of course, Mr. Joe Molinar, the challenger. Mr. Morgan, I will start with you. As you well know, sadly, the city has lost more than 900 lives to this pandemic. Is the city headed in the right direction in dealing with the pandemic? And if not, what would you do differently?
At this time, I do believe that the city is headed in the right direction. The city and the county have started open dialogue and communication, which resulted in the county judge being able to extend his ordinances regarding curfews in his attempt to curb the corona pandemic. Of course, there's more that we could do. Obviously, we need to be able to reach out to state organizations and federal organizations and request any type of resources that we need. I do not believe that we have all the resources that we need, but we should never stop working together to get those resources that we need for this community through federal, state, and local government.
Mr. Molinar, the same question for you. Is the city headed in the right direction with this pandemic? And if not, what would you do differently?
Well, I'm not really sure if we are or are not headed in the right direction. Reason being is so many people are getting the virus, number one. Number two, people are dying. Unfortunately, people are dying on a daily basis here in El Paso, unprecedented in the city of El Paso like this. And I'm not really sure what the cure is or what the right methods are. But when we hear stories where people are not talking, where it's just not happening because someone doesn't want to call somebody or someone doesn't answer the phone, and what happens, it leaves the constituents confused. It leaves them wondering, can I do this? Can I not do that? So to answer your question, as far as what we can do, more than just open the dialogue, what we need to really, really work on solutions. What are we doing and what are we not doing, and come up with real possible solutions for this corona, because it's El Paso. What works in El Paso may or may not work in someplace other parts of Texas or throughout the United States. And whatever is working in other places, let's not try and implement it here. We have to do something. Not doing something is not good.
Mr. Morgan, Mr. Molinar, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for joining us. Remember, early voting is underway. Election Day is Saturday, December 12th. I'm Saul Saenz, and this has been ABC-7 Extra. Good night y buenas noches.